Hello and welcome to today's video lesson. In this lab, we will be working with variables. This is the third lab. The goal is to use variables and a constant to determine the text of a list of store items. So recall that a variable is a way that we store data. It's like a container that stores the data. And a constant also stores data. However, this is data you don't want to change. So a variable it can change, right? Sometimes we reassign the variable new values, we update the variable, we do different things with it. A constant, however, is something called immutable, meaning we simply do not change it. It's not going to be updated. It's not going to be reassigned some other value later on in the future of the code. So that word again, immutable, means that it's going to stay the same. And even the name constant, doesn't that tell you something about it? I think I really like the name to determine the tax of a list of store items. So this is going to be a little program that calculates the subtotal, tax, and grand total of a list of items based on the user input. And it provides an example, two examples of the total, the tax, the grand total, just a couple runs. And this is what our output is going to look like. It's going to have everything exactly the same. Our software requirements are that we must declare the following real number variables. So what again is a real number? It's a number that's going to have a decimal point in it. So in Python, it's a number that we're going to have a decimal point in. So what does that tell us? It's going to be of the type float. There's also other data types in Python. Let's go ahead and look at some of them. So you have your string, your numeric types. Here we go. Int, float, complex. So a complex number is like has imaginary numbers, but an integer is the number that we use without the decimal point, and the float is when we want to use a decimal point. And I should probably finish reading this. Your program must declare the following real number constant, tax rate, and your program must only display two numbers after the decimal point for the total, tax, and grand total amounts. And that's shown here. That's shown here as well in the output. The total, tax, and grand total must be displayed in currency style. All right, so we know a thing or two about that from the last labs. So if you think you got a handle on it, go ahead and give it a first go round, and then you can watch the rest of this video. Otherwise, if you want, you could just keep watching the video. That's fine too. So we needed a variable called item1 cost, and we want it to look like item1. So we want to prompt the user here with the text item1 cost. And then it's going to have a colon and then a space for the user. So this is going to look like this. And it's going to say item 1 cost colon space. And this is going to get the user input. Recall that when we use the input function and the user inputs their data, it comes back to us as a string. So what we need to do in order to perform the calculations described inside of the lab, we're going to convert this to a float because the money can have decimal values in it. So you might get 250, 254, $2.54. You will not get just one, you will get a 1.00. So we need to fit the cents into it. So we're gonna cast our input as a float, and we need to do this for 5 items. So I'm gonna copy, and I'm going to paste, 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 paste. And I really like that there are line numbers here on the left. That helps me keep track of how many items I have pasted. And then we're going to change this to item 4, to item 5. And we're not really changing too much, right? This is pretty easy. 3, 4, 5. So now we have 5 items. We're going to get 5 items. Something that I wanted to stress to you is to fail early in your code. So, for example, I'm going to keep working on this because I know exactly what I'm going to do. But if I were new at this, I would immediately run it. And I would run it because I want to see early on in my program if there's an error immediately. That way, I'm not going back and looking through the whole thing and trying to figure out where it happened. So when I make some changes like this, when I make a major change like this, I try to run it and see how it's going to affect my code, how it's going to affect the outcomes. And so that's what we call failing early. We have the mistakes happen early on in the program, and then we fix them. And we're not left wondering, oh no, now I have to go through 100 lines of code, or I mean, however many thousands of lines of code you might end up with, you might end up working on someday. So I'm going to create the constant called tax rate. Now, I'm going to capitalize the tax rate, and we're going to put 0.0875, I think, right? What's the tax rate in California? Oh, okay, 7.25. So let's go ahead and put that. 7.25. That's quite nice. Okay, so I'm not capitalizing this because I'm yelling tax rate. I'm capitalizing it because it's a constant, and this is a convention. Will this work? Yeah, that'll work, as well as this, as well as this. All of these will work, but when we're declaring constants, we want to capitalize all the letters in that variable name. That is the convention. So other people that come in and work on your code, in the future, if you're collaborating, they know, oh, that person meant to put a constant there. Okay, I know that that's not supposed to change. That's immutable. So please, I know that there's so many things that you're having to remember, but please remember this, that your constants, when you name them, they should be in all capital letters. Okay, let's continue. So we need to calculate the total, the tax total, and the grand total. So pretty easily enough, we can probably calculate the total as, the sum of all of the items. So this is without the taxes. And I'm using the IntelliSense on the on REPL to complete my code here, because it'll help me prevent spelling errors if I just copy it from there. So what I do is I press down, down, down until I get to what I want, and then I press tab on it, and then it automatically completes it for me. Nice. Get used to doing that. Maybe go back and retype this so you can practice it. Okay, so that's the total. And now to get the tax total, we need the total times the tax rate. So to do that, we're going to use this variable that we just created. And we're going to say tax total equals total times tax rate. So this is going to give us how much our tax total is. And finally, we will calculate the grand total. And notice I'm not capitalizing these. They're not constants, right? This is not a constant. And that means that we can change these if we want to, but the tax rate's going to stay the same. Is the tax rate going to change within 5 minutes? Probably not. I think it changes like yearly or something. I don't want to speak on something I don't know too much about, but it's pretty constant. It's something that stays the same for a long time. So the grand total is going to be the total plus the tax total. So our total with taxes added onto it. And then we're almost out of the woods. I'm going to close up a little more so you can see it better. It looks like we have to output a line of dashes, a total, a tax, and a grand total, just like this. And then let's go ahead and look. Okay, it looks like we Looks like we did. Okay, so we got to do the currency style. So we still have to do that. So when we output, we're going to output in currency style. So I'm going to print out the dashes, and you just go ahead and put however many dashes you think look nice. It's not super important. But it will be to the user, so don't put way too many dashes. That would be weird. Let's see. Total. And then a space. And then we're going to concatenate. We're going to concatenate the total. And we want it in currency style. So when we change it to currency style, it comes back to us as a string. So all we need to do is put the $ here, curly braces, colon, comma, dot, 2F, because we need 2 decimal places, dot, oh, hold on a second. We got to get out of that format. And then it's going to be total. What do you think? Let's go ahead and try it out. We'll try it out after, because we're going to have to do 5 different, we're going to have to do 5 inputs, and that's going to take some time. So let's just finish this. So I copied over, and I'm just changing the text. Grand total. This is fun, right? I really like coding. It feels really peaceful and nice and solitary. I enjoy that. Grand total. Okay, this looks good. I'm just double checking. Let's go ahead and run it and see what happens. So item cost 1 is going to be $2.50. We keep these numbers low because we want to be able to do this math in our head really quick, or even on a simple calculator. So 2.50, another $2.50 of $1, $2.30, $5. Okay, so our total is going to be 13. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 30. Perfect. And then the taxes is going to be 96 cents, and the grand total is $14.26. So this looks fine. This looks correct. You can go ahead and play with this at this point and try different things out. Maybe you want your output to look a little different. Maybe you want to have more of these. Maybe you want to have fewer of these. You want to try it with different tax rates, like tax rates for different countries. Just remember that if you're going to make a constant, to make sure to capitalize those letters and treat it like a constant. It's not going to change, so treat it like that. If you try to do different things with it, if you try to, let's say, tax rate equals, let's say item cost 1 plus item cost 2. Let's say that that's the tax rate. So this is something that you do not want to do. You do not want to just change it up wherever you see fit. Once you declare a constant, you're going to want to keep it that way. So I hope that you found this lesson helpful, and thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful rest of your day.